Great. I am Bosin Amofaye for Frontier Africa Reports. Let's bring you up to speed. The biggest capacity data center in DRC, DR Congo, was opened on Wednesday in Kinshasa. That $30 million project was the brainchild of Raxio, which has opened at least 3 other data centers across the African continent. A very big day on Wednesday, August the 21st for Raxio. Now joining me on Frontier Africa Reports to speak to this is the CEO of the organization, Robert Mullins. Robert, good to see you.
Pleasure to be on the program. Thank you, Boson.
Thank you so much. And congratulations to you and your team for what you've done there, just put up together in DR Congo. Walk me through this project a little bit. Let's chat to it. What does this project really involve? Tell me about the data center. What were the key objectives for this particular project in DR Congo?
The objectives, Bosan, are similar to our objectives, across the region. We set out and embarked on a journey to bring, this what we believe is digital, is a critical part of the digital ecosystem and digital infrastructure to underserved markets across the African continent. When we look at DR Congo, it fits squarely within that mold. It's a country of 100 million people, Kinshasa alone, 25 million people, and a real lack of this data center infrastructure that, again, is a critical linchpin in every country, in every economy's journey towards, digital transformation and supporting the digital economy. It's been a project that has thrilled us from the beginning. It's not the easiest of environments to work in, but in that sense, not very different from some of the other countries in which we work. We take these challenges head on, and we are very, very happy and proud for the opening this week.
Very interesting. I'm sure this project, you're working with the government in Kinshasa to bring this on board. What role is the government playing in this? Or is it 100% private sector investment from your end? Where is the nexus here between Raxio and the government in DRC?
It's 100% private. But, as with all the markets in which we work, maintaining and developing close relationships with the public sector and government institutions is absolutely critical. And so that's something that we do from the very beginning, from the prospection phase, where we try to make sure we fully understand regulation, what incentives may be available for us, what are the idiosyncrasies of each country in which we operate. And that's been a journey that we started, with the government here in the DRC, back in 2021. It's actually quite funny and interesting because, one of the first people we met on this journey was at the time a special advisor to the president on digital, and has since now become the head of the digital agency here in Congo, Mr. Dominic Migisha. And he actually gave a speech during our launch yesterday. And he related to those, early conversations we had back in 2021, and was very pleased. I think his final remark there was, Raxio says what they do, in the sense that we communicate what we're doing. He said, but most importantly, they do what they say, because I think the government is also used to seeing, many projects that are brought before them, and that never come to fruition. So it's been a very, I think, symbiotic relationship. We have, they have an agency here for the promotion of investment with whom we've worked on certain incentives. Obviously, the relationship with the utility company is very important in our line of business. So I think I must say we have received a good support and good following from the government here.
Great. And you talked about a few other countries in sub-Saharan Africa in which you've put Raxio's footprints. Broadly speaking, what's the learning curve in setting up data centers across Africa, considering some of the nuances you'll have to go through in terms of each country? What are the common thread that you see in putting $30 million is no easy money anywhere in the world right now, not an exception, anywhere in Africa. So $30 million data center is quite big. How much have you done so far across Africa, if you give me a bit of a figure?
Well, I mean, just getting back maybe to your first question, it's the learning curve is one which we embrace because I think it's only natural that as you build and deploy these kinds of facilities across the region, you learn a little bit along the way for each one. I think the key things, I think the common thread that has allowed us to be successful, and it seems maybe like an obvious answer, but really it starts with a strong team, and having the strong teams both on the ground, which is something that we really kind of focus on, getting the right representatives of Raxio in each country who do understand the local idiosyncrasies, local legislation, which way the wind blows. But also, the contractor selection and making sure we're very rigorous in terms of contractor selection, making sure we're working with people who have an impeccable record, who have experience working in Africa. And often we work, we do repeat jobs with contractors because there's also a learning curve on their side, because simply these kinds of facilities have not been built in Africa so far. I would say that it's the learning never stops. And I think every facility we improve a little bit on a few things, and also not just on the facilities themselves, but also on the execution.
Digital center business is beginning to spring up across Africa. If you look at Nigeria, for example, West Africa, quite a number of folks are also setting up digital data center. Why are these data centers important for Africa, for a continent that is emerging in terms of economy, in terms of digital inclusion, in terms of efficiency of governance and in private sector, ease of doing business, broadly speaking?
Well, yeah, data centers are not important just in Africa, right? And I think as an industry, the data center industry, I don't think does a very good job of promoting itself. But data centers are behind what we do in our everyday lives, right? Because at the end of the day, everything that we do, online or in the digital space, at the end of the day, is sitting in some data center somewhere, right? So I think data centers in general are just a kind of fundamental part of life today. And I think that's not really, promoted very well from within the industry. Now, as far as Africa goes, by any metric you look at, the continent is hugely underserved. And why is it important to have these data centers localized? At the end of the day, the access to those services, what we're providing enterprises and the public sector, access to state-of-the-art infrastructure ensures and allows that equipment and that connectivity ecosystem is within those countries, right? And so it reduces latency, it reduces cost of access, and as you were saying, promotes digital inclusion as well. So I think it's actually absolutely fundamental to have an efficiently running economy, again, both from the public and private sector, that these facilities, come online and increasingly come online in Africa as this journey of digital transformation, continues.
Okay, so you've done 4 destinations so far on the African continent. Where do you go next?
Well, we have a couple other ones that are coming online later this year, and the next one actually is in Côte d'Ivoire, a little bit more than a month's time from now. So they're coming thick and fast, and then we'll be opening in Angola towards the end of this year as well. 2024 is really an inflection year for us. It's an important year, and I'm often asked the question, how are we able to open 4 or 5 facilities in a single year in Africa when many people struggle to open one? And my answer to that is a little bit what we were talking about before is, the learnings along the way, but also this is something that, we didn't start, last week or last month or even last year, right? This is the work of 4 or 5 years of putting everything in place, making sure we have the right teams, the right contractor partners, the right sites and locations. And so everything is kind of coming together in 2024, where we're going from, 1 data center that we had in Uganda at the beginning of the year to 5 or 6 by the end of the year.
Very interesting. I'm sure you also have deep pockets, Robert, and don't try to sidestep that question. I'm sure you folks got a whole lot of money on the table. Tell me, what's the size of your total data center investment in Africa? You can do all of this with the speed of light, fast and furious, without, in the manner of speaking, without cash. So tell me, what's the size of total investment?
Well, I think that's something that I'm not comfortable disclosing at the moment. But I think what's important is that we have the right financing partners from our founding shareholder Roha, which is an investment firm that invests exclusively in Africa, that embarked on this journey back in 2018. To our other shareholder, Meridium, which is a large French infrastructure fund, which joined the equity pool back in 2021. And then more recently last year, where we brought on board some debt financing from also fairly marquee lenders and well-known lenders in the DFI space, Proparco, and Emerging Africa Infrastructure Fund. And so I think overall we have, a strong set of financial backers that allow us to, progress at this lightning speed.
Very interesting. I'm enthused with the fact that at least we've got Friends of Africa within Africa from outside who are interested in supporting this type of infrastructure, digital infrastructure footprint across the continent. We wish you all the best, Robert Mullis and the rest of your team. And we thank you very much for this conversation on Frontier Africa Reports. Of course, we'll take it up further when you get to Cote d'Ivoire, when you get to Angola, and wherever you're going next at Raxio. We wish you all the best. Thank you very much for speaking with us. We appreciate it. All the best.